Today we're going to wear test the Il Makiage No Filter Primer. So a little bit of background about why we're doing this, because usually we do wear tests on foundation. And if you remember this one, this is the Dior Forever Skin Perfect Stick Foundation. We did a wear test on that one recently. I'll pop that on the screen up here. And with oily skin, this foundation just didn't hold up throughout the day. So I did a little bit of research and I remembered this brand, the Il Makiage, and they have some, I'll call it really powerful makeup products. It's just their whole vibe. And so I thought if I did a primer with a foundation that has a lot of great skincare and things in it that just make it so that my oily skin breaks the makeup down faster, would this give this and foundations like this the extra boost that they need? So now that we have the background, we're going to go in with this. This is their No Filter Poreless Base Smoothing Primer. So in addition to adding longevity to your makeup, it's supposed to essentially make your pores disappear. So we're going to put this on, I'm going to zoom you in, and we're going to see if all of those internet videos are actually telling the truth. Okay, so we are zoomed in. I definitely have some decent sized pores on my cheek here, on the tip of my nose. So I'm going to go in with a little bit of the primer there to start and just see if it actually does anything. It is clear. It's a clear primer. Is it doing anything besides making my cheek really red? I don't know. Try on my nose. Huh. It definitely does have a blurring effect. That's interesting. Okay. You can really tell on my nose. And the redness on my cheek kind of calmed down, so that's always a good sign. So yeah, I'll give that some good credit. That really did hide the pores on my nose. That's pretty impressive. One thing I will say is I did have my daily sunscreen on underneath this. You do put on your sunscreen before you go in with any makeup product, including a primer. I'm not sure that that's ideal for this situation, but I'm just gonna go in and put the primer everywhere now that we've kind of gotten a look up close and personal at it. And the instructions do say that once it's on, give it a full minute or so to kind of set. I used that time to fill in my eyebrows a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and get some color correcting and concealer on under my eyes before we go in with the foundation. One thing that I like about the Il Makiage business approach is they offer kind of a free trial with anything that you order from them. You basically order it and you just pay for them to ship it to you, and then they give you a couple of weeks to try the product, no strings attached, and if you don't like it, then you just send it back to them, as opposed to having to, I guess, do a full purchase and then return, which is really, really nice. This is the House Labs by Lady Gaga concealer. I am using shade 5 in Fair Peach. It's also worth noting that I'm not actually noticing any ill effects with my tinted sunscreen that I put on before the primer. As I was applying it, I was a little bit worried, but so far so good. Everything has set up fine. The sunscreen hasn't pilled up or moved around or come off or anything. Okay, so we are ready to go in with our stick foundation. So the way that they ask you to apply this on the website is just to go in right on your skin from the stick. So we'll get started with some of that. I loved how silky this foundation felt the very first time I used it. And if anything, this primer is giving it an even silkier feel. I really, really like that. I feel like the cheeks are gonna be the real test here. So let's see what happens. Not completely sold on this just yet. Giving that a little bit of time to set up. Let's go in with this side. One thing I think about makeup, and Il Makiage does a good job of including this in their instructions, but it's giving it a second to just kind of do its thing. If you think about like self-leveling gel nail polish, when you put it on and you just give it a second to kind of level itself out. I know makeup's not the same technology or chemistry, but just for the sake of comparison. Okay, I'm gonna zoom you in really quick and tell you why I wasn't totally sold on it at first. So I feel like it has settled in now and it's done its thing in this area. But so this side where I just applied it, you can see here in these areas, I actually feel like it's almost looking cakey after initial application. Over here, I do think it has settled and it looks a little bit better. But I'm not going for like a stage makeup effect. So I think what we might do is try to pick up any excess product with a little bit of sponge action just to kind of help that along. That's looking a little bit better. I think I'd like a little bit more coverage down on this part of my face, so I'm gonna add a little foundation. Overall, I still really like the foundation. I'm just really curious to see how it's gonna wear with this primer. So now that I've got the products on, I know we love our timestamps around here. It is currently 8:26 in the morning. I'm gonna be setting my face with the Haus Labs Bio Blurring Loose Setting Powder. So we've got the trifecta here. We've got the Il Maquillage Primer, we've got the foundation, and we're gonna go in with a setting powder today as well. I will check back just like I do with my foundation wear test, and I will let you guys know how it's holding up when I'm using the primer. Okay, you guys, it is 12:34, so it is the lunch hour check-in. This makeup is freaking me out. Looking at myself in the mirror, when I'm getting really, really picky like I do on these videos, I'm like, oh, okay, same typical breakup of the foundation on the chin, because I touch my chin a lot, and my chin is obviously super mobile when I'm talking, etc. But when I take a step back and I'm looking at myself, there's really no other way to put it than how they describe it. It is a smoothing primer. It's called a no filter primer because it looks kind of like the filter you get on Marco Polo or that little retouch button when you do your TikTok videos. So this is what we're looking like. Let me zoom you in a little bit. It looks just as good, if not better, than it did when I put it on this morning. Now that it's had some time to sort of settle in and do what it's gonna do, it really looks amazing. There's my chin. Always a little redness creeping through there, but my T-zone, all of that still looks really good. So it really is just shocking. It's been 4 hours since we started this wear test. I feel no oiliness whatsoever. I don't feel like I need to go in with a blot. I don't think I look like I need to go in with a blot. I just have this really amazing, beautiful finish on my skin from the foundation, and it's holding really, really well. So I will check in again at the end of the workday. So it's 2:38, so it's 2 hours later. We're still not quite done with the end of the workday, but you can definitely start seeing some shine coming through. And so I was gonna do an oil blot, and I thought I would go ahead and pop the camera on for it. Still, 6 hours in, being the first oil blot is amazing. What I'm loving though is I don't feel like it's lifting the makeup off. I really feel like truly what's coming off on here is just oil. And maybe that's a byproduct of the primer doing a better job of hanging on to the makeup. Like, it's weird. It's like I can feel the oil getting absorbed, but when I'm putting this on my skin, it's not sticking to the makeup and pulling it off. I can always feel it when it does that. I can almost feel like this is just gliding over the powder and the setting products that are on my skin. So I think the combo of the primer and the powder is really killing it, because now the makeup looks flawless. There's just no shine. So that's our 2:30 check-in. 6 hours in, that's what came off my face. Okay, we are post work day. We are post running some errands. We are post mopping my kitchen floor. It is almost 6 p.m. So coming up on about 10 hours. I don't feel like I need a new oil blot. I don't feel like I have any extra shine. If anything, I would just say, as always, in this area, it's maybe starting to show its wear a little bit. Let me zoom you in. You can decide what you think. Honestly, even looking at the viewfinder with the close-up, this still looks so much better than any foundation I've tested recently once it hits this 10-hour mark. So I'm gonna carry on with my evening, and I'll probably do one last check-in maybe right before I take it off for the night, see how far we can get. I was very skeptical about this product. I did not think that it was going to make that big of a difference, which is why I tried it with the foundation that I knew it could really put it to the test. But you guys, I'm super, super happy. 8:21, so we're coming up on 12 hours, and honestly, it's still looking pretty good, but I would not say that it's looking as fresh as it has maintained throughout the rest of the day. It's definitely, the oil production is starting to come back. It's starting to kind of settle a bit and move in some places. So I'll zoom you in to show you really quick, and I think you already know my final thoughts, but I'll jump on those too. It's crazy because even up close, I feel like it's still looking really good. It's definitely just not, like I said, as fresh as it was even a couple of hours ago. The foundation coverage on my chin is really starting to fall apart. And I feel like, you know, the pores and a little bit of the cakiness there in the nostril and just other places, it's definitely just not looking as fresh as it has been at time checks throughout the rest of the day. That said, amazing. I can't imagine what this would do for a foundation that already wears really well for me. Because this Dior foundation is just so incredibly packed chock full of skincare that, as you saw on that wear test, it really didn't work out that well. Whereas the recent Huda Beauty Easy Blur foundation review that I did, this one has just 1.5% niacinamide in it. This one actually performed really, really well with nothing but setting powders. And of course, my greatest of all time for oily skin, the Haus Labs foundation. This one works amazingly, again, just with a little bit of setting powder. I can't imagine what would happen if I put the Il Makiage primer underneath the Haus Labs foundation. That said, here's the painful part. It's really pricey. It is very, very pricey for a primer. It's $49, but if you have oily skin, the $49 is worth the investment. So that's it. If you enjoyed the video, tap the buttons below so you can follow along and get notified when new ones come out. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one.